Hi everybody, Mariah here from Alot Acupuncture. I wanted to talk a little bit today about the different time frames in the night. I have a lot of patients that will say, I go to sleep just fine, but I'm always waking up at 3 or I always wake up at 7. And what that might mean for me. So when somebody says something like that and they give me a specific time, or I'm always waking up between 2 and 4, those kinds of things, I like to put it back to the organ system in Chinese medicine. So each time frame is associated with a different organ, and when you're waking up during those organ time frames, it could mean that there's something going on there. So treating that organ is really helpful for a lot of people, and which is why acupuncture is really good for helping with insomnia. So for instance, 11 to 1 a.m. If you're somebody that wakes up from 11 to 1 a.m. all the time, you are a gallbladder person. So this could mean that you maybe just had a really fatty meal for dinner and your body's having a hard time digesting that. The gallbladder, of course, is in charge of bile production and release. And so if you have a lot of fatty food before you go to bed, your body's trying to release that. It can also mean that you're under a lot of stress, as the gallbladder is very related to liver. Liver is then that 1 to 3 a.m. So when somebody says, I'm always waking up from 1 to 3, I'm like, are you stressed? Because stress is one of the biggest symptoms that the liver will cause us. Of course, it also can be due to like blood and digestion as well. If you've just gotten over a really bad illness or something and your body's having a hard time filtering out all that inflammation from your bloodstream, that could also be why you're waking up. But most of the time, stress is the culprit for liver time. And so then from 3 to 5 is lung time. So I find that people wake up during lung time more when they're having like allergies, when they're having like COVID was a big one. People would wake up at that time frame because their lungs are having a hard time being nourished during that time, so they wake them up. So if you're kind of like a lung person, you say, every time I get sick it goes straight to my lungs. That time frame might be more often that you're waking up. And then the 5 to 7 is large intestine. Large intestine, for me, it's a yang ming channel, so that means it's full of qi and blood. And so when you're waking up during that time, it might mean that you are just a little more deficient in that, so I can do points that will help with qi and blood flow. It's also like a stool, bowel movement time frame. So if you're feeling more constipated, it could be waking you up for that. And then lastly, from that 7 to 9 is stomach time. So this is why we eat breakfast during those hours. It's best to eat breakfast during those hours due to Chinese medicine standards, because you are able to digest it a lot easier, and that leads right into spleen time, which is our clear thinking time. So if you give yourself enough sustenance, you are able to think more clear in those later morning hours. So just a really quick rundown on what it means to me when you come in and say, I wake up every day at 3 o'clock in the morning and I either can or cannot fall back asleep. That doesn't necessarily matter, but I do like to note the time frame. So think about that a little bit. Next time you wake up in the middle of the night, say, oh, what time am I waking up? What could be the issue here? Because it can be easily fixed with acupuncture or even food therapy. So if you have any questions, let me know, of course. I'm going to post a a clock, the organ clock, and because it's just kind of some interesting stuff on different times of days and which organs are at their most plentiful during those times. So so have fun looking at that clock. Let me know if you have any questions. Until next time, have a healthy day.